able to get notifications. This isn't like suicidal or not. This is more of an appreciation and realization that there have been a number of times where I have been close to death. I can think of two off the bat. A third one in particular, something tells me there's a third one and I can't remember it for whatever reason. I mean, there's that one case I'll tell you about, but I don't know if that really counts. I'll tell you about that last. So, hey, how's it going? No, it's actually appreciation. This is actually more of an appreciation video, saying that it's not. I'm not like I'm not suicidal right now. It's talking about times I actually have come close to death, and it's because God kept me from dying. For some reason I don't know, but yeah, I have come close to death a number of times. So the first time in particular I could think of is first time I've been close to death that I know of, because I was too young to remember. So I don't know if you know this, but there are times when people are infants. There have been cases where they stop breathing during the night in their sleep, right? So they stop breathing in the middle of the night in their sleep. So things happen, right? So my parents had to put this monitor thing, and I've actually got the slip somewhere on here probably. Hopefully my neighbor didn't throw it away, but I'll look for it for another stream. Basically what goes on with the electric company is here in the U.S. So with the electric company, right, there are outages, of course, because, I mean, weather happens, power grid goes down, there's all kinds of things. What they do is you can apply with a form, right? You can apply with a form that lets them know you have an individual with medical equipment, right? And the medical equipment obviously needs a power supply. So the person needs a power supply. The equipment needs a power supply, because if they don't get it, the machine doesn't work, and they need it for life-saving equipment, right? They need to keep them alive. But so this machine would detect if I stopped breathing during the night, and long story short, the electric company said it wasn't really life-threatening, necessary for me to live. But what the slips do is, these paperwork, what it does is basically let the electric company know to prioritize your power supply line. So basically, if there's I see off Discord a lot. I need to get off that a lot. But basically, there's a power supply. Like, there's all these grids going off everywhere, all these lines go everywhere. But they basically try and prioritize your supply over others, so that you have the equipment you need to live, right? Don't put your number there, please. Don't put your number there, because people can get that. No, I'm not suicidal or anything. I'm just saying this is being realistic. I'm just talking about the things because they are scary, and showing God has wanted me to live. Don't know why exactly. I can only guess. I think I have an idea. But yeah, don't put your number there. Okay, so when I was an infant, I could get some breathing and all that. Yeah. Long story short, I stopped breathing 3 times that they caught me. That machine detected that I stopped breathing 3 times because what it does is got some straps or something on my chest, I guess, right? So it's got some straps on my chest and a little infant, and if I start breathing, an alarm goes off in my parents' room, saying no to rush in there, wake me up, right? So my mother told me that machine went off 3 times. It went off 3 times. Okay. And she told me, my mother told me, the doctors say if the child goes off 3 times, right? That alarm goes off 3 times, the child doesn't make it. The child's not supposed to make it. Here I am. I'm in pretty good shape. My red blood cell is constantly super high. Not dangerously high, of course, but my red blood cell count is great. I'm in pretty good shape and everything. Okay. The second time I can remember where I definitely came close to death, and if you are a it's gonna get really gross. It's not gory, but it's gross. I'm gonna tell you. So if you have a problem with that, you know, pause it until I put this finger up again. So you know, no, not pause it, but cover your ears until I put this finger up again one more time. So when I put this finger up again, you'll know to listen. Basically, what happened is this was in 2016. Can't remember the resident that was overseeing it because she was also a Dr. Doyle. If you know your literary history, you know who Dr. Doyle was. So, Dr. Doyle was he was resident at the time, and even the person who was presiding over her, check this is the emergency department, right? This is the emergency department, so they see all kinds of stuff, and you've got the doctor who has been there long enough that he's able to train people to become doctors in the emergency department. So I have no idea how long that takes, right? And here I am sitting there. For whatever reason, my red blood cell count was normal. You know, they were trying to figure out what's going on, right? And I proposed an idea to the nurse about my red blood cell count, right? And if it was a problem, if it was low, he said that might be the case, right? And he did a blood sample, and my red blood cell count was pretty good, so that was no problem. But I was having blood in my stool quite a bit. I've been vomiting and having diarrhea for 2 weeks, barely keeping anything down. I'd have trouble even keeping down Sprite, right? Anyway, I'm driving to work. This is when I drove. I'm driving to work. Hey man, this isn't suicidal. I'm just talking about God's kept me alive, and it's really crazy. Right now, I'm talking about something gross. So if you want, I'm gonna put my finger up when it's done. But this is something that happened in 2016. So it's gonna be. I'll put my finger up again. You won't hear it again. But yeah. So I was feeling really like my gut was tearing up on the way to my work. I was real close, so I was like, well, either I go to work and I'm bent over like crazy, or going to the hospital to emerge him because I was in a lot of pain. Things felt like they're tearing in there. Sorry, just because of anxiety because of how serious the matter was. So I go into the emergency room, and there was like almost going to the hospital, really bad stomach pain, right? Had to go in the bathroom again at the emergency room after I told them that, right? And thankfully there was like no one in there, barely anyone in there that time. And so I had to go to the bathroom again, and when I go in there, it's like, because it's diarrhea, but there's blood in there. It's enough blood that it's like got the world tinted. Heard a guy come, I got out there and heard a guy yell, "That's disgusting," when he went after me. A flush. I don't know what happened at that point, but anyway, they called me back like right after I went to the restroom, so it was pretty quick. And they're doing evaluation, doing the blood pressure, doing the vitals, routine stuff. And I told the nurse that I was having blood in my stool. She did the whole, rolling her eyes like, sure, you got blood in your stool, whatever, right? For whatever reason, she didn't think I was probably correct. Maybe because my vitals were in pretty good shape. Maybe because of something people say to exaggerate. I don't know, but she didn't seem to really be concerned I was telling the truth. So she left, and once again I had to relieve myself. So I go into the toilet right next door, room right next to it, so like a closet thing, and go in there. Same thing happened, and another nurse comes in, and because I knew they'd want to see that. That's the thing with nurses. If you throw up something that's a weird color, throw up something black or red or something like that with stool and stuff, it's gross, yeah, but they want to see it. They want to see it. So the second nurse came in. So I left in there, and the second nurse came in, and I told her what happened, how I just had blood in the stool in the toilet, right? And yeah, it was like I told the second nurse she came in, and I told her to go look at it because they'd want to see that kind of stuff, right? So she just goes in there, and he shouts out, "Did you tell her you had blood in your stool?" I'm like, "Yep." So she goes out the door. She said it loud enough that she was kind of shocked, like, I guess, she was kind of scared. I don't know, concerned at least. I don't know if it's just because there's blood or just because of the amount. Either way, she's a little concerned. Real shortly after, they wheeled me back. I can't remember if they wheeled me or walked or what, but I got a hospital gown and all that because they gave me an antibiotic like right away, and that made me go all in my pants. And he said, the nurse said, "Yeah, that happens every time we give that antibiotic to people. Every time, it doesn't matter who it is, real fit guys in their early 20s. Happens every time." So all that happened. It was a pretty bad situation. So, they do the lab test because they're like, we got to figure out what's going on with this guy. They got to figure out what's going on with this guy, because obviously your bloody stool is a big problem. So they did some blood tests, and my lactic acid was high. And what that basically meant is my body, whatever I had, my body was fighting so hard that it wasn't able to keep up enough oxygen to really keep things functioning right. So even though I wasn't breathing normally, my body was fighting something so hard, I wasn't able to maintain enough oxygen in my body to keep everything moving right. And they also checked my blood cell count, right? My blood cell count, whatever it was, I think it was the big ones, the ones that engulf things. Maybe it was something else. Everybody find out pretty easily. They keep those records and everything. It was just over triple the maximum range of the normal range, just over triple. So it was pretty darn high. And my blood pressure started dropping throughout the day. They kept coming in and checking, asking me if I knew where it was and all that, which in hindsight is probably just making sure I was still coherent and everything, because I want to make sure my brain's getting enough oxygen, of course, because that's the main thing. That's the biggest thing right away. So it's starting to drop slowly. And then it's maintaining at 60 over 40 for a while. And if you're going 60 over 40, that's pretty much comatose. If you're 60 over 40, you're supposed to be unconscious, unresponsive. It's like 60 over 40, that guy's, if you got someone 60 over 40, that guy's pretty much, barely alive at that point. But the strange thing was I was fully coherent. And ambulatory, fully ambulatory. I could walk, move on my own and everything, right? I mean, I'd ask for help to get up, which they were definitely going to help me get up if I needed to. Use the stool next to me, a little bedpan thing. But yes, they helped me get up, and I could move on my own, get back in bed on my own. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew my room number. I knew when I was admitted. I knew who had been coming in as far as the names of the providers. I knew everything was going on. And here at 60 over 40 to my blood pressure, and that's still what's going on. I still know what's going on. So there's a little counter surface where they can do like a bunch of paperwork and stuff. And both the resident and the overseeing physician in the ER, which that's a place that has a really high number of years you have to have residency before you can practice supervised. Hey man, what's up? So you have to have a lot of years of residency before you can get into the emergency room and practice on your own, because different professions, different specialties in the medical field have different requirements you have to have in order to advance and be able to practice on your own, because it's how complex things are and whatnot. So here I am in the emergency room getting all that done, and I see both the resident and the overseeing physician. So the overseeing physicians have been there, I don't know how long at that point, right? And even then, they're both baffled by the fact that I'm fully coherent with a blood pressure of 60 over 40. You're talking about a guy who's been there in the emergency department long enough to actually be training someone to go to function independently as a doctor in the emergency department. And he can't understand why I'm full coherent at 60 over 40. He can't understand. Right? And I was in such bad shape that they wanted me in ICU. Right? Yeah. So they wanted me in ICU because it's just they'd have something to take care of me in case something happened, right? But the doctor kept saying, we're going to keep you here until we know you're safe to transfer, because they knew, the doctor's like, we're worried you're going to crash en route. So if they are keeping you in the emergency room and keeping you from going to the intensive care unit because they're worried you're going to crash in that short trip, that's pretty bad. So that was going on for a few hours. And then I want to say it's around 10 p.m. or so that day, because I went in about 6. About 10 p.m. or so, the doctor went out right after saying that. And I looked over at the blood pressure monitor, and it does a 60 over 40, and it takes it again. And all of a sudden, the blood pressure monitor reads 40 over dash dash. So basically, my blood would go, instead of it G, 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 and keep flowing, it was just G, G, G. It pretty much only moved with my heartbeat. And I saw that about second and a half later, I go, and my vision went white. I came back in about an hour later. Paid for a nurse, want to know how long I've been out. Nurse said about an hour. So my blood pressure was back up to 60 over 40 or something. And the doctor said to go ahead, already moved me to ICU. Found out from someone who came visit me that I was lucky to get in when I did, because they were so so swamped with what they needed to do with the patients that after I went in, because when the person that visited me came and visited, they were in such bad condition. They had people in beds in the hallways being given care in the hallways. So we're talking bags, right? Bags dripping into their arms, IVs, when they're still in the hallways. That's how bad they were. Oh yeah, my cholesterol's great. Crazy thing is, you know what my total cholesterol is every time they take it, even with a horrible diet, fast food 3 times a day. You know what my cholesterol tends to be total fasting? Give me a number. When I was eating fast food 3 times a day, soda, not much water, all that, right? Guess what my total fasting cholesterol was? Total. Not like HDL or LDL, the total. Give me a number. So guess. It wasn't bad. You know what the total was? Nope. You have to divide that number by just over 9. My total fasting cholesterol with that horrible strict fast food diet was 97. Total fasting on nothing but fast food was 97. Total. Not HDL or LDL. Total. When it comes to HDL and LDL, it's like 40 something and 60 something. Somewhere around there. But the total was 97. It was crazy. But yeah. That wasn't smart. Yeah, I'm talking stuff like the typical Big Macs, Whoppers, double quarter pounders of cheese, cheeseburgers, fries, regular soda, diet soda. I'm talking about the stuff you get typically. Yeah, like the typical Super Size Me stuff you see in that movie, Super Size Me. That's what I was getting for all those years, all the day. Maybe that was it. I don't know. It's just crazy. There are weird things in the medical field that happen all the time. So that's been done. But yeah, back to what I was going through. After I came to, I was, my blood pressure had been back up to 60/40. Shortly after I came to, they transferred me to ICU. And my parents have been visiting me throughout the day. But anyway, parents have been visiting me throughout the day. And then, yeah, they came in one more time when I was in ICU because I asked them to, go ahead and call my parents, let them know I was going to ICU. They showed up a little later, and my mother, I basically had to ask them to leave because I needed some sleep, and they left. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. God was there for me, maybe. Yeah. But actually, no, that's the thing. I was in horrible situations. I was in very stressful situations. I mean, you're talking about my parents, which had therapists where said my mother was possibly part of the reason I had PTSD, honestly. My mother's bad. It was horrible. I was in horrible situations as far as stress goes. I grew up in a house where my father had undiagnosed bipolar, and he would just, take his anger on me a lot. To the point where my mother, when I was real little, apparently my mother told me that she threatened if he administered pressure points on me one more time, she was going to call the police. So my mother said she had to threaten to call the police on my father to get him to stop. And then my mother's all kinds of just mental manipulations and has even lied to the police and all kinds of stuff, whole bunch of stuff. So, anyway, yeah. Anyway, it goes back to that. So basically, this happened a lot when I was a kid. YouTube's gonna flag this video for this, but I'm sure they flagged it already. It was bad enough that what finally got me to move out of that place, right? Was my mother threatening to put a double-barrel shotgun between my eyes to prove the definition of fuck off. Because I mean, I had healthcare providers saying we gotta get him out of here. We gotta get him out of here. It's so toxic that we need to get our client away from his parents because of how bad it is. And at that point, I just call the company that helps me, and they got the stuff together real quick. Stuff moving real quick. And my parents blamed the cops showing up on me, saying I called them and I didn't call them. Just blamed it on me. They blamed me for everything. So, yeah, it was some of the situation I was in, some of it. But yeah, basically, when after I got transferred to ICU, my parents left. I was, I had to get some sleep, so I went to sleep. When I woke up, the next morning, I woke up because there was a nurse kind of rubbing my hand, kind of gently smiled, and just letting me know I need to wake up so I can take some meds. And they gave me this orange flavored drink, which was mostly a potassium supplement to help get my potassium up. So they were going to give me supplements both orally and intravenously, and I got out of there that day. I think that later that day, they got me out of the ICU into what was considered a semi-private room, which they did like $50 extra on the bill or whatever, but it's like they just didn't have any other rooms available. It was bad in there. I mean, I don't really remember the pressure points too much. I think it's just blocked out memory. So if you've got blocked out memories from that, it must be pretty bad. Don't remember them that much. I don't know. It said my private bill. It was just me in there. It was just me. But yeah, they had to explain to me the last day that they need me to walk because they're saying real goals down on the board for me, and I think it was that after one day or after 2 days, they had to explain to me they really need me to. I'm just stumbling over these clothes everywhere. I'm going to work and clean at least a little bit tonight, but yeah, there are all these. I ended up just walking. See, they're talking about how like I bled and how they're worried about because they started me to liquid diet and started moving me up slowly. One cool thing is you can order a whole bunch of stuff. They, as long as it's within what the doctor recommends for what you eat, right? But yeah, you can just keep ordering if you really need food. You can order food from the cafeteria over the phone. So you can stand up some of this and that's because they have a menu, and it's just it has to be agreed upon by the doctor, right? They follow the doctor's scripts. Anyway, so they were talking about how they're gonna hook in my talking about possibly doing the whole colonoscopy type thing, kind of looking there to see if there's any bleeding going on there, trying to figure out what's going on. And if not, they'd have to do it through my mouth, right, throat. And I'm just freaking out, going, no, because they'd have to put me under general anesthesia for that. And I was freaking out because in my state, I wasn't able to convey to them my worry because my grandmother had recently been put under anesthesia, right? And Yeah, at that time, my grandmother had recently been put under anesthesia and actually ended up passing away as a result because she was old, had health conditions, all that. But she was in. She ended up passing away under anesthesia. What's up, man? So that was I wasn't able because of what state I was in. I wasn't able to convey that, but that was my concern. Being under anesthesia and something happening because things can happen. That's why anesthesiologists pay attention to those monitors, and they're paid big bucks to keep up on their training. Because the thing is with anesthesiologists is they keep you just between awake and conscious, and just a little bit wrong on that oxygen level, and you're dead. And also, you have to be careful with the oxygen stuff because they're dealing with oxygen, and a lot of times when they have surgery going on, they have things that can produce a spark. So it's very rare, and they watch out for it, right? But what can happen is they're having cases, and they have to know how to deal with it, where wherever the tube is in there catches fire. The tube that's in there making you breathe catches fire because it's I got high levels of oxygen in there. So it happens. Very rare, but can happen. Right? So, anyway, bleeding pretty much stopped. Bowels start coming back to normal. By the second day I was in there, the day after I was admitted, I was pretty much back to normal. Pretty much. Not 100%, but pretty much. I was in a good recovery state. Just tired like you wouldn't believe. But ended up getting up and walking because they needed me to do that. I finally understood that that was what they needed to do for me to be released because they had to make sure I was walking okay. And the petri dish, because they do the blood samples, right? The petri dishes, they came back negative. So it's like, what, did they not have bacteria? Because obviously I was infected by something. The fact nothing grew in the petri dishes, that was crazy. But anyway, that's the second time I should have been dead. Because, you can keep asking on yourself, other healthcare providers, if you want. If you've got someone who has bloody stool, high elevated lactic acid, white blood cell count of just over triple the maximum of the normal range, vomiting and diarrhea for 2 weeks, being given IVs of saline with over the first 24 hours alone amounting to 7.5 liters. And keep in mind, a full-grown man my size only has about 5 liters of blood, so they put more liquid in me than the amount of blood in me in the first 24 hours. That's how much was coming out of me. And then you get someone who's ends up being at 40 over dash in that situation. That's a medical mystery as to why I made it. Honestly, it's like they're like, you can ask healthcare providers. There should be like, I shouldn't be here. Every time when I was younger than that, when I was living with my parents, I had chicken soup I had microwaved, and for some reason I had it on me right now. I had a bigger gut. You've seen the bigger gut, and it spilled over my front. And there's the rule of nines, they call them. You can look them up in the medical field, where they give a rough estimation as far as how much of your body and as far as a percentage is burned, right? It's to help determine triage and whatnot. So pretty much my entire stomach was burned. So you're looking about 4.5% of my body's total surface area had second-degree burns or blistering and all that. I was just really out of it because I didn't feel good. So I ended up laying down and passing out for a while. Talked to a nurse a number of years later about it, and she's like, "You're probably in shock. You're probably in shock. And if you got someone that falls unconscious from shock, that's a pretty bad sign, because if they're falling unconscious from shock, that means their brain's not getting enough oxygen." There's also a time when I was in, I'm just walking like this because I'm tired. There's a time when I was in high school where I just got out of it, and to the point, because we didn't have AC or anything, and I actually the teacher had me go out in the hall and had them put a fan on me because I just was pretty much unresponsive. It was that hot. There's another case where this girl sprayed some perfume on me, and I had pretty much an anaphylactic reaction where I was gasping for breath and had to fight with every ounce of willpower I had just to breathe, even in the hallway. Yeah, same here. Sherlock Holmes did it too. Autistic people do it a lot. This is helping me calm because seriously, it's bad things. There's another time where I slipped on some ice, and I had a backpack I landed on, right? It was in middle school. I slipped. My backpack, thankfully I missed my head, but I was like, because the wind, you see, here in the U.S., we said the wind got knocked out of me, which is pretty much all the air in my lungs got pushed out, right, from the impact. Now, something like that can actually cause you to have a collapsed lung, which they have to blow into and force open because it can't inflate normally. You just won't be able to inflate and won't be able to breathe. So you have to blow into it to pop it open, basically. My mother actually slipped on some ice at her workplace and ended up getting a concussion, having to go to the hospital. So I missed a concussion. I think I was alone at the time, actually. And so that's a good thing. Then, getting hit by the truck, and I only got a scraped up elbow. That was recent. There's a time I tried to take my life in high school because all the stuff that's going on. I held a pencil up here to my carotid. I didn't go through. I wanted to, but there's also every day I'd be going to school on the bus fast. I said that the next day I was going to bring a can of gasoline in my backpack and light myself on fire in the commons in front of that dumb taxidermy bear in there. Because how bad it was. Just an act of martyrdom. So there's a lot of stuff I've been through in life, some pretty bad stuff, right? Pretty darn bad stuff. Sorry. So by all rights, I should be dead. But is it possible that God gave me PTSD? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you are a serial killer and stuff. They do it for fun. Tell people that. I don't know. There was an officer in Napanee. I'm not gonna say his name, but he in Napanee. He's a patrolman / forensic technician or something like that, crime scene technician. Talking about stuff that like gathering evidence at scenes of crimes. It depends on law stuff like you said, for instance, a B&E, breaking and entry, burglary, that kind of thing. They're going to be there looking for stuff for about an hour. If there's a murder, they're going to be there all day. So, and he's talking about some of the stuff that has to be done, like, because it has to be basically, a defense attorney doesn't have to prove your innocence. As I'm saying, defense attorney doesn't have to prove your innocence for you to be deemed innocent. The defense attorney is just there to put that little seed of doubt, as the author put it. They put the seed of doubt to think, could this person actually be innocent? Is it possible that he's innocent? That's what the defense attorney is there to do. Not prove you're innocent necessarily, but to make it seem like you're probably innocent. So you have to detail everything, kind of like And you have to think the officer, when they write the reports, have to make sure not to put stuff down that would make it seem like they put an idea into the person who did the lab work, right? Put an idea in their head, like, let's say you come across the scene and there's blood over the wall, right? I would know it's blood. The forensic technician would look at it, it's like, that's blood. Anyone would be able to look at that and tell that's blood. Takes a smear to get tested, comes back, writes down the smear sample of blood, sample smear of blood, and then the defense attorney's like, how did you know it was blood? How did you know? Did you see it go in there? That's an idea. That's something they'd have to deal with. Nope. So they would just have to put down something like reddish, smear of a reddish brown stain. Let the lab tech decide if it's blood or not. So he could tell from talking to me I was really good at figuring out, like, thinking like a criminal, trying to figure out, like, how would I do it? Because he said you'd have to figure out, if I wanted to do that, right, how would I do that in that situation? What would I do in that situation, to make it happen? So that's what I'm going to be doing, I think, is looking at, thinking like serial killers, because, I have admitted I think a lot like a serial killer, but at the same time, I know there's a 100% chance I am not, because if you look at the book, The Sociopath Next Door, if you've ever worried about being a sociopath, there's no chance of you being a sociopath. Because if you were a sociopath, you would know and not care. So if you have worried about it, that shows you have empathy. You have empathy, no matter what else you have, you can be a whole bunch of other things, but if you have empathy, you cannot be a sociopath, because that is the defining characteristic. Well, the biggest defining characteristic. So I know there's a 100% chance I'm not a sociopath or a serial killer. Does that mean I can't understand what they think sometimes? Or can I get in their heads? I can. So, and also the PTSD, I think it makes it even worse. Or rather, it makes me even more where I can think like them. Like, I can get, a lot of the time, I can get people to do things they don't want to do, but I choose not to, because I have empathy and realize it's wrong to do so. So I'm going to be doing videos, I think, of trying to, I'm not going to be showing the screen. I'm going to use a screen off camera, but I'm going to stream if I can do live streams of trying to help figure out missing individuals, unidentified individuals, yada, 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 all that. I'm going to start trying to do streams. I'm going to start trying to do streams of cleaning up around here, getting in shape. And also just little projects I can do here and there to help people survive in the coming horrible economy, and survive a little longer. Just cheap things people can do. When I look at making little meals that cost $1 or so, real simple stuff. Really, a lot of it's really unhealthy, but just something to eat. It's gonna be better than fast food. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go now. Thanks for listening. I'm gonna change my channel name to let you know. I'll be changing my channel name. Anyway, see ya. Anyway, I'll be seeing you guys. So, just looking at your stuff here, Suit. right, yeah, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna get some stuff ready. I'm gonna be going to sleep. Ready. I'm slowly letting go of the anger of and hatred for the people that gave me the PTSD. It's hard. But I turn to God to help me get rid of this anger and hatred for them. All right, see ya. But yeah, I'm good, guys. I'm not gonna do anything to myself. Anyway, peace out, guys. Wish you a good night, and I'm just gonna get all wound down, get ready for bed. See ya.